Oh, hi! I'm glad you're here. You're just in time for our next adventure. Putting the ball mount on our Tesla Model S so we can hook up our snowmobile trailer. No, we're not going snowmobiling, but the snowmobile trailer is the only one that we have currently that we can tow with the Model S. But the adventure is that we are under a snowstorm watch at this time, and we are expected to get a foot of snow here. Later today it will start snowing, and then within a day or two the temperatures will drop to minus 14 degrees Fahrenheit. And so we need to go get bedding for our animals. I need to go get a few straw bales and bales of wood shavings so that our animals can stay warm. All right, let's go. And off we go. It is a relatively warm day right now anyway. We're just around the freezing point. I think it was actually just above the freezing, like 1 degree above freezing. So charged the car to 85%. I just reset the trip meter for trip A, so we can use it and see how good, maybe more like how bad this will be here. Yeah, so it is what, 11:16 in the morning, and we're driving to Missoula. That is about 30 miles. We're going to the feed store, and we'll load up the trailer, and it will be nice on the way back, not having that rattly thing back here. So the problem with a single axle trailer like this is that it has no weight on the tongue, so it's not pressing down on the ball, so it's actually kind of pulling up and then pressing down, so it makes the whole thing rattle. And the hitch is attached to the frame, basically to the chassis of the car, and well, that amplifies the rattle really good inside here. So it won't be too bad on the interstate as we have a smooth surface, but right now here, rattling down the road on snow and ice here, it's relatively loud. I even have a anti-rattle device installed on the ball mount so that the ball mount doesn't flop around as much. That definitely helps, otherwise this would be extremely bad. So yeah, if you're towing a single axle trailer that has no weight on the tongue, you definitely want to have that anti-rattle device. Otherwise it's going to be really bad, and preferably you always want to have about 150 pounds tongue weight. That is noise-wise better, and also basically for towing a trailer for the car, everything at about 150 pounds is perfect. So yeah, we're going off. I did preheat the car real quick for about 10 minutes. I turned the climate control on 10 minutes before we got in, while I was still plugged in. So the 85%, that's where we were at while we were hooking up the trailer basically, and as I was just pulling out of the driveway or so, it already dropped to 84%, but that's okay. We should be all right. This is only going to be about a 60-mile round trip, and we should not have to charge in town. But in the worst case, if whatever's going on, we could go to the supercharger as we did on our first trip. And if you haven't seen that first trip, that one was a little trickier. So this is actually only our second trip here, but our first trip was really tricky because that was about a 120-mile round trip out into the boonies with a lot of weight added on. So we went to go get feed. If you haven't seen that trip, I'm gonna put a link here at the top of the screen. If it doesn't pop up on your device, look down below in the description if you haven't seen that one. It was interesting. It was somewhat exciting for me because yeah, I didn't know what to expect. This was the first time towing with this. This is a 2013 Model S85. It's a rear wheel drive, and it was in the winter back then. It's still winter right now. It's icy out. It's cold around the freezing point. So all things that don't help with range, you know, especially with towing. So that was kind of interesting. So go check that first trip out if you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, so okay, we're on the way to town. Currently we're pretty high here on consumption. It shows 469. Oh, it just jumped to 475 watt hours per mile. We still got the heater going, obviously. We'd like it warm. Got the seat heat going, that too. That doesn't use very much. But, well, we still got to heat up the cabin. Since we only did about 10 or 15 minutes, that did not really heat up everything inside. It's like you have to heat up the seats. Everything that's inside the cabin needs to be warmed up. And if you don't do that pre-trip while you're plugged in, you will use more energy because all these things inside the cabin will keep absorbing heat that you blow in. So yeah, it just takes more juice. I made it to the frontage road, which means we're basically out of the valley. And so up to here, this is all a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. And so we did pretty good. Consumption is at 381 watt-hours per mile. But so this was only a little over 6 miles. Now we gotta get over the hill here on the frontage road and going down to the interstate. And this will increase our consumption because the speed limit is higher here. So we're going 45, accelerating up the hill here. And then we'll come down to the interstate and we'll accelerate even more. But I don't plan on going more than 55 miles an hour on the interstate. It's just a comfortable speed with the trailer, and the rattling should not be as bad as it is at a higher speed. Also, my consumption will be much better. Why do I choose 55 since there's an 80-mile-an-hour speed limit? Well, it's pretty simple. In many places around the world, the speed limit for vehicles towing a trailer is actually about 50 miles an hour. 80 kilometers an hour is the standard actually, which is about 50 miles an hour. So going 55, I'm just above that, and that seems a very reasonable speed. And it's, no matter what, at a lower speed, it's easier to control a vehicle with or without a trailer, but definitely with a trailer. And it is pretty slick out today. It is relatively warm, so we're actually now out here. It's a little warmer than it was in the valley. The car now shows 37 degrees, so we're several degrees above freezing. And snow and ice is melting, but the ground is still cold, so it also can freeze and lead to black ice real easy. And so slower is better, because slower we make sure we get there. So we're coming down the hill here. Consumption has increased to 470 watt-hours per mile over the hill. Now going down, we can save a little bit. And then down here, we'll get on the interstate and we'll see what happens to our consumption. And the car speeds up, no problem making it up the ramp here. Yeah, doesn't even feel that the trailer is there. Not that this particular trailer is heavy or anything, but yeah, you can't even feel it. You can only see it in the consumption. So I've been going a little fast here already, trying to get it down to 55. I was already almost up to 60. And consumption is actually not too bad at this point. It looks like we're 463 watt-hours right now, and it just dropped to 456. So doing pretty good. And so we'll be cruising at 55 for the next about 20 some miles to Missoula. Coming to town. I'm about to get off here in about a mile in Missoula. Temperature is still 37 degrees Fahrenheit. We are right now a good 26 miles into the trip, and the average consumption is at 482 watt-hours per mile at this point. So about what I expected, but so far so good. Now we gotta get down to the feed store. We are still at 64%, so we got plenty. We used about 20% so far, so not bad at all. Seems to be an easy trip coming in here, and I'm not sure how much the load is going to affect the consumption. I don't think very much, because aerodynamics here, I think, is what makes it worse, because the trailer has that wall in the front, so we're literally pulling a wall through the air here, and that is what makes it really bad. The stuff we're gonna load up will be behind that wall, so we won't affect aerodynamics. We will have a little more weight, but that will just be a little bit more weight, not much, so I don't think it's gonna affect it very much at all. And yeah, so we'll see. But it seems like we can easily do what we wanted to do here with this car, is basically come to town, take the recycling in, get like feed or bedding here in town mainly, and this seems to work just fine, rather than driving our big 1-ton dually diesel truck, which is expensive to drive. You know, it's fuel prices plus every mile there's 6 wheels on there, right, and maintenance and so on and so forth. It's really not cheap to drive, so this is much cheaper right here, and that seems to work just great. So, well, we're about to get in here at the feed store, and hopefully they have what we need. I did not call ahead and check, so they are sometimes out, so we'll see here in a minute. Actually, from here I can see they got the wood shavings that we need, and usually they have straw, so it seems like we're gonna be doing just fine. I'll be back here in no time, going home.
Hello.
How's it going? Let's start with 9 shavings, and then we'll you got straw?
Yeah.
We'll do probably 4 straw, and I need 1 layer pellets as well. Got this all loaded up, no problem. 4 bales of straw, 6 bales of wood shavings, and some chicken feed there. And I only needed 1 strap going across a couple times. Requires 1 strap, requires 3 ratchets in this case, but that is fine. So we're all loaded up and ready to go. Getting home again. And now we got a little weight here on the tongue, so hopefully we got a little less rattle. But everything is behind this wall, so the aerodynamics shouldn't be affected too much. It actually may improve, who knows, and maybe we'll do better on the way home. We are still at 37 degrees, so it's pretty darn warm here. It's just after noon, 10-11 minutes after. And if you look on the bottom there, trip A, we are averaging 467 watt-hours per mile. And we'll see how this will do from now on going home. But I'll expect we'll be just fine. Back on the interstate, and oh, what a smooth ride. So the load is perfectly distributed back there on the trailer. We got just enough tongue weight so the trailer doesn't rattle, but it doesn't really weigh down the car, so the car is not going down in the back and I'm looking up into the sky or anything. And because the trailer has some weight on it now, it rides much smoother. It's not bouncing around back there. Perfect. So yeah, going 55 miles an hour again, and we're still at 61%. So yeah, we only used about 20% to get to town. That is not bad at all, towing a trailer with temperatures just above freezing. That's actually pretty good. And so currently we average 479 watt-hours per mile. Not bad at all. So yeah, I like it. I mean, this is what I wanted to do rather than driving the truck. This barely cost me anything to drive this compared to the truck. So I really love it. It's a much nicer ride than the truck. Unfortunately, we still do need the truck because there are still things that the truck can do that obviously this car can't. Yeah, we can only pull 2,000 pounds. That's the max trailer weight we can tow with this car. And quite frequently, we have, or quite frequently, actually not quite frequently, we actually, the minority of the time, we tow way more than that. But when we tow with the truck, we desperately need more towing capacity than what the car has, because we're looking at 10, 15, sometimes 20,000 pounds, right? So 10 times more than what this here can do. So we definitely need the truck, but we don't need it quite frequently. We just need it once in a while. What we frequently need is something like this here. We have volume, and well, the volume doesn't fit inside the car, and you don't want to load straw or hay bales inside the car anyway. I mean, this is a mess. I've done it before. I don't want to do it never ever again, because you'll have straw or hay in your car forever and ever. But so volume transport like this is done real easy with an electric car and the trailer. And the trailer doesn't have to be as big as this one. This is big. This is a snowmobile trailer, so its maximum width and the length is made so you can load up a snowmobile, or actually two. But you can do a little bit smaller trailer, and even with a smaller trailer you can get easily a 4x8 sheet of plywood on there, or more than one, multiple. You can get whatever. You can load concrete up, bricks, whatever. I mean, up to the towing capacity of your car, or whatever the maximum weight is that the trailer can carry. But mostly it's volume that made us use the truck and not the weight. So if we have weight that is above 2,000 pounds, we need the truck. But for these things like getting here, bedding like we need today, or the feed we got on the first trip, the feed was definitely heavier. We were about 1,000 pounds in feed there off almost, and so that was definitely more, but still not beyond the capacity of the car or the trailer. So we did fine there. We also will be hauling our garbage to town and the recycling. So this will be just perfect like that. It's just such so much a smoother ride, quieter, and so much cheaper. And yeah, we may go a little slower here with the electric car than we would with the truck. With the truck, we probably would go 70, 75-ish, roughly. But quite frequently, I also drive slower with the truck because, well, diesel is not cheap. And the faster you go, the more fuel you use. It's no different with an internal combustion engine vehicle than it is with a electric car. You will use more fuel if you go faster, which means there's less range in the electric car as well as in the internal combustion engine vehicle. So yeah, quite frequently I do not go very fast with the truck either. It's not so much fun to drive a truck without a load on it either. This is kind of like driving this with this trailer without a load. The truck is pretty bouncy. Even if I would just get shavings and straw bales like I have here, the truck is still bouncy and it's a rough ride. So this year is much smoother, and yeah, I love it. And in many countries around the world, cars tow trailers, because many places around the world, they don't have the big pickup trucks. They have cars, regular passenger cars, and they tow trailers for stuff like this. Not a big deal whatsoever. So even here in the United States, you can do it. People may look at you, but you just smile at them. I probably have the biggest grin on my face when I tow this trailer and people look at me, because I just love it. So, well, we're back out of town here, and we are over 36 miles into the trip at this point. 469 watt hours per mile, used 17 kilowatt hours so far. We're at 57%. Temperature is still 37 degrees, and yeah, well, we'll just keep driving 55 miles an hour till we get off the interstate, and then shortly after that it will be a 35 mile an hour speed limit to get back out to our place in the valley. The last mile going up the dirt road here, or the snow covered or icy road, or a mix of all thereof right now. This looks like dirt here, but I'm not sure if it's actually dirt or if there's a lot of gravel on here. Hard to tell. Anyway, we are 54 miles basically into the trip here. Average 459 watt hours per mile. Not too bad at all. Used 24.6 kilowatt hours. Now we are at 45%, so we used about 40%, so about 21 way. Temperature still shows 37, so it warmed up even here in the valley. And even now here on this bumpy road, there's no more rattling. Now that we have the weight on the trailer, that is so nice. There's literally no rattling. I haven't heard it once bounce or bang back there. So that is really cool. It probably would be good to have a trailer that has some tongue weight all the time, but that would be a heavier trailer. That means you can load less. So, but yeah, easy trip, easy breezy whatsoever. Didn't even fully charge. I could do it with our regular daily charge, which is about 70 or 75%. I mean, we could really easily just take off without charging any extra to do a trip like that to town and get feed or deal with the garbage or the recycling or whatever. So it's really not a big deal. An electric vehicle just can tow. It's not a big deal at all. It may be a bigger deal if you go long distances there. That is a little different. Higher speeds, obviously, that will kill your range. But if you follow, you know, the 55-mile rule for trailer towing that so many states have and so many countries actually have, then you can go quite far. So yeah, we're about to come home, then we look at the final stats, and then the work begins. Okay, back home, made it up the driveway, no problem. Rear wheel drive with good snow tires, not a big deal whatsoever. Even towing this trailer here with all this stuff on it. This is bedding for our animals. And now the hard work begins, because all this stuff actually has to go ways up there. Up there, that's where we can zoom in here real quick. There we go. You probably can see there. There's all our sheep staring at us. And then over here, right there, there's our pig. So the sheep and the pig are the beneficiaries of this load here. Since it's going to be super cold, we need to add some straw to the pig pen so that the pig can stay warm. We need to add shavings so that the sheep have a dry area to lay down. And it looks like the storm is about to come in here. If we look over that way, let's zoom over that way, you can see there the mountain is already disappearing. This is the storm coming in. Over there it's already snowing on the mountain, and that will come in here very soon. So I gotta get to work unloading all this stuff and well, put it in their pens and whatsoever and whatnot. But yeah, let's go look at the stats real quick in the car, what we ended up with. But it was definitely an easy, good ride, so you can easily tow with an electric car. So let's check out the final stats. We did pretty good, 460 watt-hours per mile. I mean, it's pretty good for what we done and the conditions we're under with the temperature and everything. We are at 44%, we left with 85%, so basically used 40% of the charge for the 54.9 miles, so basically 55 miles, huh? So really not too bad. Yeah, mainly the conditions we have. So it is, here now it shows 36 degrees. You know, the temperature is low and we're towing this trailer, so this definitely doesn't help with the consumption here. But we did pretty good, I would say. So how far could we go with this trailer is the question. That's the thing we need to figure out. How far could we go with what on there? But I think with a load like this, going 55 even with a heavier load or more that doesn't really influence the aerodynamics, we should be able to stay under 500 watt-hours per mile. If we stay under 500 watt-hours per mile, assuming that we have 75 kilowatt-hour capacity still in this battery. This is an 85 kilowatt-hour battery pack, but it's got some miles on it. So so let's assume we have a little over 10% degradation and we can get 75 kilowatt-hours out of it at 500 watt-hours per mile. That would be about 150 miles we should be able to do. So obviously this was only our second trip. We got to do a little more testing and things, and I wish I would come across a smaller trailer that's a little narrower, because we don't need this full width of this trailer. We also don't necessarily need the full length of this trailer. So yeah, but maybe someday we come across a different trailer that is a little easier to pull behind here, easier as not as wide, and yeah, I don't know. And maybe doesn't have that wall. That wall really does not help with towing. So, but in any event, please give us a thumbs up for this video. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Also, go look back at our older videos. They're not like 100 years old. We've just been going for about 3 years here. And there's lots of good and really relevant information in regards to EV, in regards to driving in the wintertime under the worst conditions. We got really good videos about that with different cars. So go check those out. There is lots to learn there. Also, go down below into the description and click our link to the Redbubble store, and maybe there's something you'd like and wanted to buy. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.